But what I find fascinating is if you go, but like I said, it seems like they were this noble group of people that seem to teach our, I don't know, like a lesser peoples. Let's just put it that way. Um, the way to live, like spirituality and everything. Um, like this, Lao Tzu, as I always thought, were just a Chinese ancient philosopher. I think he could have been tied to this noble race. Could have been like a. And I'm not saying this because I'm a white guy. If I found out that they were all black, I would be saying that right now. But that's what it seems. It seems like they were, and Buddha as well. Buddha seems the oldest depictions of Buddha. He's got blue eyes. So, and he looks Caucasian. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Can Andy post where he was saying that the oldest depictions of the Buddha had blue eyes? I'm calling BS on that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of information. Again, I'd highly recommend the place I go from, Ashalogos. He's got hours and hours of content, and I just love it. I fall asleep to it. It's so good. But yeah,
That's cool.
I must have like 300 snapshots because that's the other thing. I often recommend Odyssey because
So
I think their
you're
play is just better than BitChute, and you can take snapshots. So I've got literally 500 pictures right here, all
so
about all kinds of stuff. The
so
French
your source
Revolution, huh?
so your source
Oh,
is
right.
your source just some guy
No,
that you trust on YouTube?
yeah, I like that guy's content, Ashalogos, but he goes through historians. One he talks about
But how
quite
do you know
often
that he's
is,
telling the truth?
well, if you let me finish, one of the guys he talks about is this guy, Christopher Beckwith. And he seems to be one of the main guys to go to about this Scythian tribe. So,
The Buddha wasn't Scythian, so
well, this
all
is
I
what
was
I'm
asking
saying.
was what was your source for the earliest depictions of the Buddha having blue eyes? What was your source for that? Is it just this guy that you like on YouTube? And then how do you know telling the truth?
Um, that's a tough question, but it'll take me a while to break it down. But there's depictions, there's there's statues and
Yeah,
uh,
which one?
well, if you give me a minute, I might find it for you.
Okay.
Do you think? Oh, right. So yeah, you obviously think that everything, all the mainstream, is all what it is. I get it. That's fine. I don't. I think it's all a lie. I think we've been fed all kinds of lies from history. So I kind of like playing, getting my Deerstalker on, playing Sherlock Holmes with it. Just sort of see if I don't think I'll ever figure it out fully, but there's no doubt there's a lot of lies in there.
Hey, if you guys are done, I'd like to have a word with Critical because I saw
Yeah, let's
your
go.
thing you did with Kent Hovind.
Testing
Oh yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah.
It's like some people don't, they just simply believe whatever they read in a school book without verifying it. But if you learn about other things from another source, then we gotta scrutinize that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of being equally scrupulous and skeptical about these things, so
Oh yeah, there's no problem in that. I would love to see the picture or the art that would display uh, Buddha's eyes as blue. This is the
yeah,
first.
I think that the maybe the confusion is like the fact that in the culture where Buddha was, he wasn't shown in sculptures for like a long ass time, like hundreds of years, until like Alexander the Great and the Greeks got really close to India, and then they were actually the first ones that were making sculptures of Buddha hundreds of years after he lived. But I don't think any of those were colored. So I don't know where this saying that his eyes were blue is coming from.
Have you seen the similarities between Sanskrit and Lithuanian? That is
Yeah,
fucking
because
madness.
Sanskrit is an Indo-European language.
Right, right. But I mean, I didn't. This isn't like news to me. This is new. I was like, oh shit. I just thought, oh, I was looking at it
So
through
then
modern eye. You know,
what? So then, what were you? What was the point of bringing it up if you know that Sanskrit is an Indo-European like language is?
because that's what I'm saying to you. I thought, oh, they're Indian. Oh, Buddha's Indian. Laos is Chinese. But it seems like like I said, there were this royal race of people
But it
who
doesn't seem
seemed to
that way
teach. Huh?
like what you're saying is known. You wanted to say like railing against the consensus, but like that already is the consensus. It is known that Sanskrit is Indo-European. That's not like some fringe thing. Everybody knows that already.
Right. Look, dude, I'm just putting the dots together. That's one of the reasons I'm in this server. I enjoy it for myself to put the dots together. But someone like you, dude, no offense, but I could just type in Chat GPT and it will tell me exactly the same thing you'll tell me, won't it?
I don't know, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you're being critical of what he's saying, but maybe if you could offer your own insight, that would be maybe a little more constructive.
Well, everybody can search the Aryan migrations in India, right? You could see like after the fall of the Indo like the Indus River Valley civilization, then you have this period of migrations from the Iranian plateau from Indo-European speaking peoples that moved into India. Like this is part of the normal consensus view of history.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, I don't think it's very mysterious that Sanskrit has similarities to other Indo-European languages. I mean, there are lots of similarities because they're coming from Indo-European cultures. And I don't know what you were talking about with Lao Tzu. Like I've read the Tao Te Ching. I know a bit about like early Taoist philosophers. I don't know anything that hints that Lao Tzu was not Chinese.
Right, I completely agree. I mean, I'm just saying that was my position before as well. I was like, oh shit, I just as we assume we look through modern eyes and we go, oh, Lao Tzu was a ancient Chinese philosopher. But now I'm entertaining the idea that he was a white dude and a
But
tall
why?
white dude at that, a very tall white dude,
But why would you be entertaining that? Based on what evidence?
based on what I said before.
All
But
right. Well, I must have missed
they
it
might
then.
be connected to like the Scythian tribe. That's what I said before. And if you want me to
What's the
post
connection?
if you want me to post the video, I'm happy to do it. But this is all new to me, so
Okay.
I'm
What was the
hardly in a position to debate it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a speculation, but that's nothing's wrong with that.
So you guys done with this?
Let me guess, you're going to talk to me about evolution, SE.
Well, obviously, I brought it up. He spoke with Kent Hovind, and I was pretty clear about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
go
don't
for
want
it.
to interrupt your guys' convo.
No, go for it.
So critical. You're into having a little talk.
Sure.
So I saw your thing with Ken Hovind. So you survived overnight. You weren't kidnapped, put in a room. No exorcisms were done on you, anything like that. You survived.
Yeah. Did you find it to be an entertaining video?
Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah, I'm just
All right.
poking fun a bit.
Well, I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. But now, yeah, I want to talk serious now. Like, you seem to be like aboard with the evolution thing, right? So you seem like a smart guy. You seem like you've done research. So how could you come to the conclusion that evolution is real, like the way they say it, from a single cell to us? Or is
because
that what you believe? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
because it's supported by the weight of the evidence.
Okay, like what? Like what what has convinced you that we started off in a pond as a
And
single
that's like,
cell and then
no,
evolved?
come on. No, we didn't start off in a pond.
So so then what? So then you don't believe in evolution?
No, that's just a
Was your
mischaracterization.
grandpappy an amoeba?
No, we didn't come from an amoeba. That's not a correct term. Like, I mean, I'm okay with like, I mean, just you guys just don't characterize evolution incorrectly, and then we can have a normal conversation about this. The evidence I was going to put forward was like genetics and the fossil record.
Okay, fair enough. How would you describe it then? Is my understanding that we started as a single cell incorrect in your view?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think it's too vague of a statement, really. And I was objecting to you saying pond or the other guy saying amoeba. Saying single cell is not that as objectionable at all. But saying we come from is imprecise language. But sure, I can agree to all that.
Well, it doesn't really matter if we object to it or not, right? It's either the theory that we believe states this or it doesn't. So, what do you mean you object to the pond part of it? How is that? Did we not start off in some sort of watery pond or lake, or what term would you use to be more comfortable if you don't like pond?
Well, because there is no consensus theory for like the origin of life. I mean, there's competing hypotheses, but we don't know that we came from a pond. We could have easily come from deep sea vents or like
So what
other places.
do you know then?
Huh?
What do you actually know?
Evolution?
Yes,
So you're
regarding
just
this.
Can you give me a minute, guys, with him? Can you give me a couple of minutes with him, and then you guys could go? Because I want to, if you don't mind, because if we all
No
talk at the
problem,
same
no
time,
problem.
we're not going to get anywhere. Just a couple of minutes, and then because if we're not going to get through this, like where did it start and what his thing of evolution is, we're not gonna get anywhere. So you're saying not in a pond, right? It could have been in an ocean, in a vent, right? But the
Yeah,
theory
yeah, we
does
don't
say,
know where.
okay,
And it's
that's
also
news
that's
to
not
me.
part of evolution, basically, saying that we came from a pond. That's just not part of evolution.
Yeah, but keep in mind these deep thermonuclear vents that were just recently discovered, right? That wasn't part
No.
of the story, right?
Yeah, it's not part of because abiogenesis is a different thing than evolution.
Yeah, but we're talking about two different things now. Forget about how life began, right?
Okay, cool.
We're just starting from life because that's a
Okay.
whole different story, right?
Yeah, that would be the theory of evolution. Yeah.
Right. So now we have to come to the agreement, yes or no, that your theory says there was a single cell in the beginning in some sort of water.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now we can proceed from there. So we started from a single cell, right? So eventually that single cell had to become me and you, correct?
Um I think that you're being too imprecise with your language there because it's not like that single cell back then became us. It was like that was a different population that had offspring that went, populations evolve. I don't know. I think you're being too imprecise when you word it that way, but you're getting the basic idea, I guess.
Well, of course, I didn't go through the millions of steps that had to happen between that single cell to me and you, but I just wanted to make a general statement, right? And we can take it from there after. But that is what the evolutionary theory says, right? From
Yeah,
single
and
cell
I
through
that is
mutation
supported
and
that is supported by evidence. Yeah.
okay, so we're on the same track here, right? Single cell through millions of years of mutation, we ended up with me and you, correct?
Populations of single cells. Yeah, just make sure that we're talking about populations here.
Okay, what do you mean by popular? Okay, let's get to the nitty gritty. One animal had to turn into another animal for evolution to work. Yes or no?
No. I don't. I just think that you're not being precise in your characterization, and that's making it questionably accurate because of your ambiguous language.
So this is the disconnect. Okay, so can you get less ambiguous? Can you explain how that happened? How you had evolution from a single cell to me and you with millions of years of time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How did
So
that happen without one creature turning into another one? Please go ahead.
because at no point in the process did one creature turn into another creature. Each creature was its own creature from its life to its death, right? It had you have a initial population of single cells, and through generation after generation they diverge and evolve into all the various species that are alive today. That would be a more accurate way of phrasing it. But uh, can we move past this?
Absolutely not. This is the crux of your disconnect. How could that be so? How could it be possible for a single cell to become other things without one animal turning into another? Of course, you want to move past it because that's the crux
So
of where your
in
argument ends.
so I made this analogy before, but we all agree that languages change over time and that French came from Latin. But at every single step along that process, there was never like a Latin speaker who became a French speaker or a Latin speaker who gave birth to a French speaker. That never happened. It was just over generations, small amounts of change added up, and you get Latin becoming French.
Trying to equate biology with language, I think, is futile. I mean, really?
But
Are you trying to equate?
do you understand what I was trying to illustrate with that analogy?
Yes, but it bears no resemblance to reality in this case because I'll explain to you why. In order for this to happen, it's not a speaking thing. It's a biological creature have to change. It's not a
But
language thing.
you do agree that every generation is different than the previous generation on like a genomic level. Like allele frequencies do change over time observably. Every generation is slightly different than their parents.
Okay, so when does that, in other words, a dog, let's take a simple thing, right? A dog, right? In your view of evolution, will a dog ever become not a dog?
No, because things like especially eukaryotic creatures follow the law of monophily. So all of the categories that applied to our ancestors still apply to us today. That is a law within evolution.
So you don't see the fault in you don't see the problem in your statement right there? If a dog is always a dog, right? How could one creature, how could we have started from a single cell and become what we are now? Do you not see
Because the
the
classification for that single cell still applies to us today. Like we came from single cell to eukaryotes, and still today we are eukaryotes. We evolved from mammals. Still today, humans are mammals. Like we have all the same classifications as our ancestors did.
so you think by merely classifying something it makes it so?
No,
Are you
these
serious?
classifications are not simply arbitrary. There are genetic underpinnings of this. For example, mammals is not just some arbitrary categorization. Genetically, every mammal is most genetically similar to all other mammals than it is to any non-mammals. These are not arbitrary classifications.
Okay, so if there was a chain of events, what were we before we were mammals?
Amniotes,
What's an amniote?
and amniote is a creature that uses amniotic fluid or an amniotic membrane.
Did we look like we do now? Did we have two arms, two legs, two
No.
eyes, a mouth?
Well, yeah, we had those things, but it would resemble more like something looking like a lizard. But we're still amniotes today, just like that creature was.
So, but were we still mammals, or
No,
we
we
were
were not
reptiles
mammals.
at one point?
So this is very similar to your example with dogs, right? The like dogs came from wolves, and Chihuahuas came eventually from wolves. So it's not like Chihuahuas were like wolves are not Chihuahuas, but Chihuahuas are still like canids, like wolves. So the categories that apply to the wolves still apply to the Chihuahua, even though a Chihuahua did not exist before in the wolf population.
Right. So they were all canines. Example. So all cats were always cats, right?
No, again, like your Chihuahuas were not always Chihuahuas. Like you agree that Chihuahuas came from wolves, so I mean it's exactly analogous to the process we're talking about here with mammals.
No, it's not. Not even close.
It
You're
is.
talking about the same. How? We're talking about one species turning into another. And you specifically said that a dog
No,
will
we
always
weren't.
be a dog, will always
We
be a
were talking about
canine, right?
mammals from non-mammals. That's not one species turning into another. And now I'm talking about an analogy of chihuahuas coming from non-chihuahuas, which you agree happens. So why don't you agree that mammals can come from non-mammals?
Because you got to show that. It's not an
Yeah,
agreement,
no,
right?
we
We
did.
know,
It
we
was
know.
here's how it
Can
was
you let me
shown.
finish,
Okay.
bro?
Well, I can
We
explain to
know
you how
that.
it was shown.
Sorry?
I can explain to you how it was shown. You said that hasn't been shown. I can explain how it was.
Okay, go on.
So when you have like in the theory that mammals would have come from non-mammals, they said, okay, well, based on phylogenetic trees and morphologies, we should predict that there should be a certain fossil found that is intermediate between, mammals and their non-mammal ancestors. And it was predicted what anatomy that should have, specifically the type of jaw that it should have. And then we found synapsids, and synapsids are those transitional fossils from non-mammals to mammals. We found it. It was predicted before it was discovered, and we found it. So verified prediction.
Explain to me what exactly you found. What was it? Was it a mammal? Explain exactly.
I
What were
just
the differences?
I just told you synapsids. Have you heard of those before?
No.
So anatomically, synapsids are intermediate. They're transitional between mammals and non-mammals. They have qualities about their actual anatomy in their skeletons that is transitional. And it was predicted what that anatomy should be beforehand, specifically with like their jaw anatomy was one of the big predictions of evolution that was later found out to be true.
Let's get this straight in English now. Hold on. What you're saying is they found the same creature with a different jaw. This is what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's not the
What are you
same
saying?
creature with a different jaw. That's not a correct characterization.
Correct me then. What are you saying?
Synapses are some kind called mammal-like reptiles. It's not just one feature, it's a whole suite of characteristics that are intermediate between mammals and non-mammals. Like it's not just one thing like you're trying to characterize it, oh, it was just that they're the same creatures as mammals but with a different jaw. No, it's not like that. Synapsids are like a huge group of animals. They're like, dinosaurs are a very varied group of animals, so are synapsids. But these are like, in layers where we find these synapsids, we don't find any true mammals. We only find these very mammal-like like reptiles, basically.
So what? So what? It's like you're explaining a platypus. Big deal. So you
It's
found
not.
a whole bunch of. Bro, are you going to interrupt me every time I talk? So it's like you found a whole bunch of weird animals that have features of one thing or the other, like a platypus. So what? Like a lungfish. So what? What does that mean exactly? You just found creatures that are mixed. That's all.
So it's not. That's not all. The key thing here is that we predicted exactly what their anatomy would be before they were discovered. There's predictive power, and those predictions were successfully found. That is the hallmark of a good scientific theory.
Nah, no. You just claim somebody predicted something and found that it's absolutely meaningless. What you
It's
have to
not.
first of all, you don't even agree that one animal turns into another. Now you're telling me that there's proof that one animal turns into another? Is that what you're
No,
saying? That's a
no.
contradiction in
Again,
what you said.
no, it's not. Because what I disagreed about you saying was that when you say one animal turns into another animal, I feel like that's so ambiguous and non-precise that it's basically false because it's a population of animals who, through successive generations, diverges and evolves into different populations. Like, I just feel like summing that up as one animal turning into a different kind of animal implies that it's like one animal is making these changes within its own lifetime, and it just doesn't seem like it's good enough language to describe what's actually going on here. That's what I was objecting to. This is showing that one population of animals diverged over successive generations and evolved into mammals. That's what this is showing because it was predicted that if that did happen, they should find fossils with this anatomy, and then they found them.
So you don't see that. You just contradicted yourself once again, sir. You don't see that. It's amazing.
You're
You
going to have
said
to move
before
on
that,
because I just answered that.
bro, you said one animal doesn't turn into another. Then you proceeded just now in saying how that does happen, and in
No.
fact we have proof in the fossil record, sir. You just said that.
No. Am I not being clear here? Is anybody else besides Essie confused about this? Because I've tried to be very clear with my language about what I am saying and what I'm not saying, and he keeps repeating the same point over, like I'm not even like he's not listening to what I'm saying. Is anybody else in the same camp?
Yeah, it's because you guys are. It's because you're saying this. You're double speaking basically. Like Essie's trying to ask, did these animals change into different animals? And according to you guys, it did and didn't.
Okay, so let me see if I can articulate this more clearly for y'all because I'm trying to say here that when you say one animal turns into another, it's too ambiguous, meaning it could mean multiple different things. And that's what I'm trying to clear up because I am not saying that one animal turned into a different kind of animal in the way that it's like over the course of one animal's lifetime, it like changes into another animal or it gives birth to a totally different other animal. Like that is absolutely unequivocally not what I am saying. What I am
Nobody
saying,
said you're saying that. Nobody
well,
said in a single.
I feel like it's implied when you say one animal turned into a different kind of animal. That's why I'm objecting to that language, is because I feel it's too ambiguous and it could mean lots of things.
Bro, you gotta
Stop
understand, right?
trying. Stop trying, man. The theory of evolution was debunked like 100 years ago.
Well, that's
Wake
a
up,
pretty
man.
outlandish claim that is not agreed
Wake
upon
up.
by
Wake
anybody
up.
in the field.
Do some documentation, wake up, and then get back here again.
Okay, well, this is an opinion that is not found at all within the actual biology or genetics or paleontology literature. So nobody
Brother,
agrees
look,
with
I don't
either
want to be
viewpoint.
confrontational, right? I want to have a good convo, right? But you don't see the dualism in what you just said? Like
No,
you
dude,
can't.
I very clearly explained how those are two different things that we're talking about here, and I've been trying to just explain to you what I'm talking about. And if you want to say what I'm talking about, you would characterize as one animal changing to a different type of animal. I think that that's a mischaracterization, but you just continue to just insist on doing it.
All right, what's your
Yeah,
story?
but
That
when
we
I
came
ask
from
you,
monkeys or something? What's your story? We came from monkeys or apes or something? Gorillas?
No.
What did
They
what
have
did
to,
we
they have to try to
evolve
say
from?
that they have to try to say that's not what they're saying, but it is what they're saying. It's what they all say.
exactly. Yeah.
What? Let me ask you. Whoa, Necros. Whoa. Let me ask you a question, Critical Base. What do you think of the Behe thing? I only saw that recently. He talks about a mousetrap. You've probably seen it because you seem to
Yeah,
be up on the.
we have seen irreducibly complex systems that fit his categorization for being irreducibly complex. We have seen those evolve naturally, both in the lab and in nature.
But you clearly understand what he's saying. You can't have one bit without the other bit. They work harmoniously, like
So,
like
yeah,
bees
I
and
understand what B he's saying. Do you understand
yeah.
what I just said?
But it doesn't that just refute it on its face? It seems to me anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
it does
argument
refute it.
is a machine needs all the parts to work properly, like a mousetrap. I've made that argument many times. It needs the
Yeah, you
wood,
guys
the
just not
spring, the cheese. Sure, it does.
I mean, can you just listen to what I just said? Because I feel like what you just said clearly shows you weren't listening to what I already answered it.
What?
Sorry, can you
How
say
can you
it
explain a
again?
machine missing a part working? I mean,
I
you think you
cited
explained that?
I said we have seen systems that Behe would classify as irreducibly complex, meaning if you take one part away, it no longer works. We have seen those systems evolve both in a lab with like self-replicating RNA systems that were constructed in a lab that literally evolved as the scientists were watching them to irreducibly complex multi-member replicator networks. We've watched that happen, and we've seen it happen in real life in nature too, with the evolution of HIV's human tetherin antagonizing system, which is a four component system that if you remove any one of the four components, it no longer works. And we saw that system evolve in the 20th century. So we've seen this happen. We know evolution can create irreducibly complex systems. We've watched it happen.
What? Sorry, Agent? What are you talking about? Are you talking about a virus, HIV?
Yes, it's an irreducibly complex system that it uses to antagonize tetherin.
Did you see what Carrie Mullis talked about HIV? Did you see what he said about it?
What did he say about it?
He said certainly there's no paper, there's no science that leads that HIV causes AIDS. There's no. He was asking the top people, and he was going around, and they kept fobbing him off and sending him to another place, and then he went to this big this big shindig in Paris, and the main dude, I can't remember the guy's name, French guy, the head of the guy you've got to see. He went to ask him, and he got fobbed off yet again. There is no paper on it.
First
Yeah.
of
Well,
all,
sounds
first
like
of all, viruses
Wait,
aren't
one second,
living
Cosmos.
creatures.
Oh my God,
Viruses aren't living creatures.
Cosmos, you
no.
can't
First
just
of all,
step in on the conversation though when clearly he was talking to that guy, bro.
But I'm just saying that Carrie Mullis, that guy seems like a legend, don't you think? I think anyway.
I
I
mean,
suppose
look,
you'll
okay,
paint him as a crackpot or something.
yeah. Carrie Mullis did invent like PCR tests. I mean, he does have credentials. I think he's a Nobel Prize winner, but he
Yeah.
also has some really weird ideas. Like he thinks that he was visited by a glowing green raccoon in his cabin. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's a mixed bag, that guy. And it wouldn't
I've never
surprise
heard that.
me if he's pushing pseudoscience on this, but I'm not dismissing it out of hand, but it sounds sketch to me. I would have to read more about this in particular to actually
Right.
say one way or the other.
Yeah, dude,
Okay,
you're not gonna
that's
be able
fair
to do
enough.
this right now, Andy. Let's be real, right? Like to tackle biology right now, bro. Come on. Someone has
Yeah,
to actually go and look into it diligently. They have to listen to the doctors, quote unquote, debate it,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
like whenever all of us heard that viruses weren't real, we all thought it sounded crazy anyway. So
yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
I will say,
yeah. I
Grayson, can you admit that like that the whole evolution idea that's cool or whatever, but that it's like a belief that you have, like you believe that happened, like it's just a belief.
It's
You can
supported by the weight of evidence.
say that, yeah, but you agree it's a belief.
it's just another
I mean, at
religion.
what point? Okay, like that's just saying like it's just a belief that I have that my car is where I parked it last time. It's like, yeah, I'm
No,
not
it's not
looking
like
at it
that.
right now, but it's based on the evidence that it is
No,
where I left it.
it's not like
That's
that at all.
knowledge. That's knowledge, not belief. That
No,
is
But
I
knowledge.
don't have knowledge that my car is where I left it. Actually, I
don't
don't have a
take
way
the
of
bait,
proving that.
dude. Don't take the bait, man. Cosmos is just gonna come at you like that. But like this is the thing, right? This is a story about what has happened over millions, if not billions of years. It
But
has to be a belief, dude.
if it's supported by evidence, then it's very logical.
You can say all
It's
kinds of
a
things are
cult.
supported by evidence.
It's a
I can say
cult. It's a
I can
religion.
dude, Cosmos, do I have to mute you, dude?
Mute me. It's a cult. It's a religion.
well,
It
just
is
let
We
a
these
get
two
it.
have a
belief.
back and forth,
Hey,
Cosmos.
thanks for the productive
Please.
input.
Yeah.
So like
You have to mute him.
I can say there's evidence that existence was created via sound and spoken into existence because I can show in a lab that cymatics changes the material structure of something. Therefore, there's evidence, supportive evidence of cymatics, and therefore I've supported my belief of what happened at the beginning of creation. Obviously, it's still a belief I have that the world was spoken into existence with vibratory displacement causing cymatic. You can have supportive evidence for many things. If an idea entails large duration of the past, it has to be a belief. What I've realized is that people that believe in evolution, they can't even acknowledge that it is a belief. That's kind of telling, right? Like you've convinced yourself it's scientific fact. It is not. It is a belief. It could certainly be wrong. It requires major presuppositions.
So I think that you're playing a little fast and loose with the term belief here because like if you just want to reduce it to like yeah, everything is a belief then. Like again, just the fact that I have to believe that there's an objective reality exists, avoid solipsism. Like I guess yeah, that's a belief, but again, I think it's supported by evidence. Like I mean, I can interact with reality just like
Is it
there are
supported
different degrees of
subjectively from
evidence.
your
Like I
perspective,
get that you can
or is
say
it?
that like there are there's evidence for all these various things. I personally I think maybe we would have to have a whole conversation about the whole created from sound thing for me to wade in on that. But to me, the conclusion did not logically follow from that evidence. But like, I agree that you can say, "Oh, there's evidence
That's
for
the
all kinds
point,
of
though,
things." But
isn't
the
it?
key is that not all evidence is equally valued. Some evidence is much stronger than other evidence, and in this case, for evolution, I think that the evidence is so strong that like it's not a very big leap of faith
Yeah, but that's
to
the point.
conclude.
You think it's strong, but that doesn't make it so.
That's what I'm saying.
You're
Exactly.
just
Like
espousing your subjective interpretation
Okay,
of the
so I
so-called
think that
evidence.
any rational agent would conclude similarly based on the evidence.
but that's just your bias. So
Again, you think this.
exactly.
This is not sound logic.
Like
Go ahead, Wizard.
I would say any sound being would conclude that this place had intelligent design because the complexity of information itself shows that requires the antecedent of intelligent agency. Because there's no example whatsoever of having intricate reordering sequential information void of intelligent agency.
But there is.
No, there's not though. And
Well,
I'm not asking you, you can just beg the question about the actual stuff we see like DNA. You can just claim that it did it by itself. But what I'm saying is that it's a belief, bro. And that's really what's so telling, bro. It's that people believe in evolution, but they think it's not a belief. Just like people believe in the Big Bang cosmology, they want to pretend it's not a belief. It absolutely is a belief. The difference is some people are intellectually honest and they say, yeah, I believe in a creator. I believe a creator made this place. I believe this, or this happened. But when it comes to like evolution and the origins of the universe, people run around pretending it's scientific fact. It absolutely is not, though, bro. It is a
okay,
belief that you
so
have.
I think that we're not going to really get anywhere on this because like I think you're being too loose with the word belief. Like I have to believe that the sky is blue because I have to believe that my eyes are not lying to me. Like come on. I mean
That's not even close to analogous, dude. That's what you guys always do. You always do that. It's like whenever we say, "Can you prove your claim about heliocentricity?" It's like you can't prove anything, and you try to you use this false comparison fallacy where it's like what you just said about we can actually observe the sky being blue live time, right? Like that
But
somehow
you
compares
have to
to a
believe
claim
that though.
that
That's
compares to
ultimately that's just a belief because you have to
okay.
believe in the reliability of your senses. So it's just a belief that you have that you're correctly observing the sky being blue. That was my
No,
point.
it's not a
But
belief.
you claimed a whole lot of
Objectively, it's
stuff.
seen to
I
be
didn't get to
blue.
respond to. You made a long statement about
Hold
complex
on, man.
information.
Hold on. You didn't get to respond. Witsit was still in the middle of a sentence when you interrupted him. Let's let
Yeah, but
Witsit
that's what
finish.
he
You can go
interrupted me
next.
while I was in the
No
middle of
one
a sentence
interrupt.
as well. I was trying, like he made this whole long
Okay,
thing about
maybe I didn't
complex
hear that
information.
part.
Whatever, go ahead,
And that
dude.
might have been the case. That might have been the case, but let's just all go one at a time, please.
Yeah, well, let me just say that we understand how information can increase in complexity over time, both physically, mathematically. We have like disequilibrium thermodynamics that have explained it since the 60s. We have self-organization mechanisms, and we've seen the kind of complex patterned information that Witsit is talking about arise like in like naturally patterned layouts like from glaciers and stuff. Like this can arrange in like self-repeating geometric systems, all self-organizing. Like we have actual principles explaining how this can happen without an intelligence. That's all I wanted to clarify on that.
Okay, yeah, but that's like a typical conflation. Like I'll send you a paper that breaks all this down. Like when people bring up the snowflakes and think that somehow explains that you can have DNA, it's completely not analogous. It's completely different. It's the functionality, the specificity of functionality that is completely different. But even with that, that begs the question, because the reason that the glacier did that was because of things like the second law of thermodynamics. The actual process of seeking equilibrium with very specific pre-ordered pressure mediation that causes the geometric expression. That begs the question of why is this place naturally ordered in such a way that there are actual natural laws, right? That dictates how everything equalizes.
Even
You can
for
say
which
that
the case, it's done in an orderly fashion.
like that's my point is that the only way to claim that it can happen is to beg the question, right? Like I can show plenty of evidence outside of begging the question that sequential information requires intelligent agency. And no one can dispute that. I can show you the Encyclopedia Britannica. An intelligent agent had to write that and order it. You can say, well, the evidence is the very thing that we're discussing, which is
So
you have to
wait,
beg the question.
what do you mean by like sequentially ordered information? Because a crystal is sequentially ordered information.
That has a specific use case. It has specific functionality. Like with
So what about
DNA, everything has very specific functionality. And then the atheistic nihilist that thinks they're smarter than they are, they keep trying to undermine the functionality and they keep getting proven wrong. Just
okay,
like they
so
said that there was junk DNA, they were
well,
wrong.
no, that's a fact. But
No, it's been disproven.
really quick though, I mean, there's multiple papers within the last year showing that you can get functional enzymes from completely randomized sequences. Like they just generated thousands of randomized sequences, and then some of those ended up having actual biological function. There was no design. Nobody picked out these sequences. They were just randomly generated. Like the most recent one was, I think, Frumpkin et al. From 2023. So this has been shown multiple times.
Okay, again,
You
so
jump to
like
the-
you're invoking things that exist in nature to explain how the things can exist in nature without some type of primary intelligence. Like it's just a baseless affirming the consequence. Like it's a textbook affirming the consequence. And so it's cool. I don't even care. Like I don't care if that's your belief, but like you should be honest with yourself and acknowledge that it absolutely is a belief, bro. And that's what I find so weird about this is when I talk to quote unquote religious people, they have no problem acknowledging it's a belief, bro. Right?
Well,
No
so
problem.
just like the definition of knowledge as a justified true belief kind of shows that everything that we know is just a belief. But some of them are justified as being true by the evidence, and I think that evolution fits that category.
Yeah, and you think so incorrectly.
Oh, good comeback.
I
It's
think
not-
that's a
it's not
belief on your
comeback.
part.
The fact that you took it that way shows the error in the way you think.
All right, well,
Hey,
you're trying to say
critical, is
something
it
a little
possible?
snarky. Little snarky comment. I gotcha.
Yeah,
It's
let's
got
not
nothing
have
to do
that.
with
Let's not have that.
snarky,
Hey,
because when you
let me ask.
analyze everything that you've just said and the conversation that you had with Witsit, and you were to be a little bit more objective about your position, you would see the flaws in the logic and the way you're interpreting the so-called evidence, right?
And point it out. What are the
And
flaws in my logic?
if you want to say anything that I've said is snarky, it's when I said so-called evidence, but that's nothing to do with you.
Why don't
That's
you
to
just
do with
point out the
that's to
flaws
do
in
with
my
my.
logic?
I'm speaking. That's to do with my view on the evidence, but that's the issue. And for instance, what the last thing you just said that I kind of jumped in at, but Witsit hadn't finished, was that you're talking about the sequences. You jump to the conclusion, I don't know why, that because you hit upon some things that function, therefore it justifies that this can come from random or from randomness. That's a stupid conclusion to jump to. The only thing you could jump to is, oh, there is these sequences that we happen to stumble upon, and they work. Now you have a new question on the table. Why do they work? What's their origin? Jumping to the fact that you stumbled across them randomly justifies that they can come from randomness is
Okay.
foolish.
I think that
Is
you
it not?
might have missed the study, but
No,
they didn't
I didn't
come
miss
upon
anything.
these.
Is it foolish or is it not
Okay,
to jump
come
to
on,
that
man.
conclusion?
Come on. I mean, you were talking for
Elijah,
a while
let
now.
him get in, bro. Come on.
I
I'm
finished
next.
with a question though.
I'm next after.
I just wanted to
Go
say, like, they
No, dude, you were done
generated
talking.
these.
Hold on, man. Hold on. Let critical base go. One at a time, guys, please.
Like, these sequences were created randomly. They were randomized. Nobody designed what the sequence were. That's where they came from. And then they were screened in terms of if any of them functioned, and they found out that some of them did. And the point that I was making with that was that they were functional because of their sequence, but there was no designer or intelligence behind that sequence. It was an outcome of a completely randomly generated process in that experiment. That was the point.
Right. Yeah, I heard you the first time, but maybe you didn't hear me well. The methodology or the mechanism that got you to this thing of the people who did it to these sequences was random. That doesn't mean that those sequences that have a function came from nothing. You just happen to stumble upon something that works. This, by the way, has happened many a times in the general scientific field, and it's led people to discover things that are either useful or destructive. Doesn't matter. It's not important. But you're jumping to the conclusion. You're not even leaving room for the possibility that these sequences, whatever they happen to be, and whether that's just taken for granted that what you've just said is true, right? I'm not gonna argue with that because I don't know enough about it. But what I can at least see from the outside is, oh, they've stumbled across something that works. Cool. How did it get
Elijah,
there? I would
can you
give
be
my
more
opinion.
concise, man? Like, please.
I would give my opinion. I give my belief. Relax. He's not. If he didn't understand me the first time, it's going to take a little longer for him to understand me the second time.
Dude,
Isn't it?
oh my god.
Okay. You tell me if you can understand the problem that I'm pointing out and what you just said, which you repeated twice as if I didn't hear you the first time.
Yeah, I think that your problem is that you thought I was saying that these sequences came from nothing, which has never been what I said as a straw man. So you're kind of responding to a straw man on that. All I was saying was that Witsit was saying, in principle, it takes intelligence to design something that has like that is functional based on its sequence or whatever. And I was just showing, in principle, that has been shown not to be necessary. Like, it's not necessary.
And again, you missed the point. Let me try and keep it for SE's
Then I just don't think I'm going to
right?
get your point. We can move on.
No. Let me try and make it for
like 10 minutes.
Look, relax. For SE's sake, I'll try and make this succinct. The sequences are there. You came across them. What Witsit said still stands. Your example doesn't refute his point.
The sequences were not already there. They were generated.
No. See, this is the problem with the way you're thinking. Just because you generated a piece of music that worked well with a random.
Hello?
Guys, don't interrupt. All right, let's all go one at a time, please.
I think that guy was. I don't think he was interrupting that time.
Oh, you don't think so? All right, well, my bad. I'll unmute him. Hold on. Sounded like he interrupted.
I mean, SE can just go anyway because I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with that guy.
Nice job, Jeremy. Flip sake.
I mean, he's just trying to say that the sequences already existed in an immaterial form or something, like Platonic ideals.
No, maybe I can rephrase it. I think the music analogy might have worked, but I got shut down midway because Jeremy's lagging.
No, he's not lagging.
I agree that if you randomly generate a piece of music,
you did kind of interrupt a little bit, but nothing major. Nothing major.
Earlier on, I was speaking in the middle. Even he said I didn't interrupt, but it's not important. Let me just try and get this and hand it over to USC. So, what I think you're doing is when you say it's generated randomly, you're imposing your perspective onto that without leaving room for the possibility that sequence is already embedded somewhere. I don't know where. I'm not going to jump to that for this conversation, but it's embedded somewhere within this universe. And you found it, but you're not accepting or leaving room for that being a possibility. You're only leaving room for you generated it randomly.
Oh
But
yeah, then I think
that
your point is,
assumes that this thing wasn't already intelligently done. That's my
yeah.
point.
I think that
I
is
hand the mic over. I hand the mic over.
God. You literally interrupted my response
Guys,
just to say
please,
you hand the
man.
mic over. What the heck? Okay,
It sounded
all I'm
like you
saying,
interrupted him that time, actually. I mean, guys, let's all slow it down and just go one at a time, please.
okay, I thought he was done like 3 times, but then he just kept going. But okay, like I think that his point is a total non sequitur. Like, yeah, if you had a completely random sequence that generated a good piece of music, and then you're like, oh hey, that piece of music was like already written by Beethoven or whatever, then like you have just shown that a random sequence could still do it in principle. Like I just think it's a non sequitur of a point, but
All
Well,
right,
you're
so
focusing on the
if
bit.
we're
Yep. Go ahead, SE. It's fine. You can have fun with it.
no, I'm willing. I'm patient, bro. We can all talk here. We have all day. If you're not done, go ahead. Make a final point. There's
no,
no rush, bro.
I'm not
think
I'm not going to be here
I
all
think
day.
after
I'm
what.
not patient. I just would rather SE go.
Well, well, I'm not talking to you now, so shush. I think SE after his reply to my point, he intentionally picked up the bit that I left and ignored to not engage with what I was saying, which was that he's assuming one thing and leaving no room for anything else, which is obviously going to affirm his position. That's not logical. That's foolish.
Okay, let me go then. Let me go if you guys are done. So I wanted to ask him this, right? Critical. I don't want to be confrontational, right? I like you, bro. I think you're an intelligent guy. You do your research and you talk nicely. You know, so it's not a confrontational thing, right? But do you think maybe that you've mistaken evolution, like a lot of other people, for adaptation and merely fell for a story because of a bunch of finches and a tortoise? Do you think that's a possibility?
No, I think it's just a matter of scale. Like if you're looking on like a very small scale, then like you're talking about like microevolution, but it's the same processes that just on a larger scale over multiple generations add up to macroevolution. It's the same process, it's just a difference in scale.
Yeah, but
Okay,
bro, your
okay.
theory
I want to
Hold on,
make a
Cosmo,
strong
hold on. Please, bro.
statement.
Please.
I want to make a strong statement. It will take about 3 seconds. And then you can go on and on and on and on
Well,
with
it's 15 so
all of
far.
your
So.
bullshit. Once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence.
Okay.
Point made.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, SC,
Come
before
on,
you go
guys.
on with it? I just need a quick question.
Yeah, go on. I forgot what I wanted to say, bro.
Why do you guys
Go
do
on,
stuff
man.
like this?
It's just unbelievable.
I wanted to ask him, you say that something happened randomly. What was that happened randomly?
Who are you asking?
Hello? I'm asking you, what was it that happened randomly? You said that something was produced randomly.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
was
yeah.
that? I want to
The
research.
sequences. The amino acid sequence. Fromkin et al. 2023.
What's
The
it called?
Big Bang. The Big Bang
Frumpkin?
happened
Wait a minute.
randomly.
Wait. Frumpkin? What was that? What'd you say? What was the word?
Yeah, let me see if I'll try to find it and link it in the side chat.
So we got amino acids that just form together randomly, and then what?
The Big Bang.
No, there's
I feel like you're
sequence.
using Witsit's example of an
randomly.
intelligent designer, and you're just saying, well, here's something else, and it's natural and it's complicated. I don't know what kind of
I
example is.
think evolution is actually the best evidence for an intelligent designer.
Yeah, that's Witsit's argument. This guy's saying no. There's some other thing that was, I don't know. I don't understand.
That was my
I
argument
want to
as
Bang.
well
research
from
this.
the beginning with him. I told him
The Big
we
Bang
have
is
two
set
options.
up.
We have Cosmo, I'm gonna mute you, bro. If you
You
do it
probably
again, I'm
should.
gonna mute you. I'm sorry. I mean, come on, man. That's twice now I forgot what I wanted to say. So thanks, man. Thanks a lot, bro.
Hey, but look at the bright side, Essie. It's rare that you, me, and Witsit all agree on one thing.
Yeah, I guess so, bro.
Can
Yeah, I
we
mean,
just take
go ahead, Roger.
evolution back from humans to whatever humans evolved from, so I can at least even get a grasp on what, you know, what's being said. You can plug in however much time you need, but it doesn't change the fact that humans would have needed to evolve, because that's what evolution is
Yeah, we can do
about.
that.
Okay, do
So
that.
So again, this is like similar to like if that evolution did happen from like a non-human primate, then evolution makes the prediction that we should find fossils that have skeletal anatomy that are intermediate between that more basal ape ancestor and humans. And then that was predicted, and then that was found with multiple species, but Australopithecus being the main one.
Okay, can I that was a good job. I think that makes sense to me as far as evolution, right? Apes, and then some type of closer to human ape, even though we don't have, like, those still don't exist except for the Geico man. You understand? Like, I
I
get
do.
that, right? I understand that point. And even I would say some humans that I see around the world and in my community look more like apes than others, right? Including myself. So I get that point. But if you were the creator, right, and in every instance of creation that we look at, either natural or man-made, we use the same baselines usually to build on, right? Like, we might use the same frame to make several different cars, right?
Well, let's
So
look. Actually, the car is a nice example. So if you look at that, we can go back and say, well, you know, before cars, we had carts and carriages. Before carts and carriages, we may have had wagons and chariots. Before that, we may have had a sled that we dragged something along, and before that, we might have slung something over our back. As a progression from, you know, how we transport us and our stuff around.
But
Now,
that's not
something.
evolution.
that's his point. No, that's where he's going with this. I know where he's going with this. Like, but the thing is that it's fundamentally not analogous because cars, carts, all of the things that you brought up, they don't have any relationships of any kind. They don't have any parents. There's no replication there. So it's not analogous to evolution at all.
Well, no,
And
it's
earlier, wait, because two people brought up two different
My
points here.
point is getting
I want to
distorted
respond to the
very
first guy.
quickly.
Yeah, I want to
My,
respond to the
Hold
first
on,
guy.
man. This guy was still going. Let Critical Base finish it up, and then whoever can go next.
Yeah, because two people were making points, and I responded to the second guy. I want to respond to the first guy. He was basically making the argument that could these similarities that we're seeing be the result of common design rather than common ancestry, right? That was your point?
yes.
So just to address that, because I think that it fails if we try to like say, okay, well, if common design is the explanation for these morphological and genetic similarities, then we should be able to use common design to predict genetic similarities. And that is what fails. It fails to go the other way. So it doesn't have the explanatory power or the predictive power of evolution. So like, for example, like if you were to say, you know, if I were to tell you between these three animals, which ones do you think would be the most similar genetically? A shark, a goldfish, and a human. Based on your common design, you would say, well, the shark and the goldfish are more similar in design, so they should be more similar genetically. But evolution would make the opposite prediction and would say that humans and goldfish should be more genetically similar than a goldfish and a shark because in the evolution tree, the goldfish and the human diverged at a more recent date than with sharks. And when we look at the genetic similarities, humans are more similar to goldfish than goldfish are to sharks.
Yeah, but you have no proof that humans and goldfish are closer in dates. You just went through and looked at the genetics and said they must be because of genetics. That can't.
No.
What?
So No,
then
that's
how?
not what happened. Because the prediction that humans would be more closely genetically similar with goldfish than goldfish are to sharks was before genetics. Like that would have been a prediction before genetics. And then when we looked at the genetics, it confirmed the prediction of evolution about that.
How could you know possibly that a human is more closely time-wise evolved from a goldfish than a shark? How could you know that time-wise?
The fossil record.
You have fossil records of goldfish being more closely related in time to humans than sharks?
Yeah, because we had a rough conception of what the evolutionary tree would look like due to the fossil record, and we know about the evolution of ray-finned fishes and bony fishes diverging from sharks, and we know that that happened at more deep layers in the fossil record than when ray-finned fishes evolved from lungfishes and those became tetrapods. So yeah, we've got like the fossil record is what allowed us to make the prediction that was then confirmed by genetics. It's a concordance between two independent lines of evidence.
I love co-witnessing of evidence.
I didn't quite hear
But
that.
do you realize?
I said I love when evidence is when you have a conclusion that's co-witnessed by multiple lines of evidence. That's
Yeah,
But trust, there's a dualism here, which I think both my buddy here, Critical, and you fail to realize, right? Because you're saying that one animal doesn't turn into another animal. Then you say, look, in this fossil record, we see a layer that has traits of both animals.
Oh no,
So
I don't
you
believe.
see
I believe. I mean, I think intelligent design is definitely something that comes through, but I don't believe in poof animal creation. I'm saying that the evolutional process is one of the best examples for the intelligent designer. Spiritually died.
Yeah, but it's in direct contradiction.
No, it's not.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
Sorry, it's only in direct contradiction of the Bible, which I don't believe in.
No, but it's in direct contradiction to the belief that people have about evolution, like our buddy here, Critical. He thinks we can have. Well, let me explain, because I accused you of something, right? You think that we can have evolution without one animal changing into another. That's the epitome of dialetheism, bro. The belief in two truths.
No. So you're trying to make it sound like that's like contradictory, but it's not. And I've been super clear and repeating about this that I just don't think it's a precise enough statement. Like because I said an animal doesn't turn into another animal within its own lifetime. It's a different animal. It's not the same animal that's making these anatomical changes. It's like, and we've already acknowledged that every single generation is slightly different than the previous generation. So over time, those differences add up. There's nothing contradictory about this. I just think that saying that one animal became another kind of animal is just too ambiguous to be precise. I have to take this call real quick. I'm just going to mute myself.
We give them the time, and then they still think that we think that a goldfish turned into a human. That is amazing. Like it's
no,
just
that's not what he said. That's a total mischaracterization.
What he said, man. For you to
no, that's a total mischaracterization.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Tell me what I think he said.
You think he said that a goldfish turned into a human? That's what you said.
I just said explicitly that we don't think that.
In that case, I take it back and I was wrong.
Jesus, man. Let me restate it.
Sorry.
Maybe I'm cutting out. Maybe it's me. I'll take all the blame. It's funny how when we say we think evolution is animals turning into different kinds of animals, and that's not what's being said. But it is what's being said. It's just we don't think that goldfish turn into humans. But if you say goldfish were here before humans, then whatever evolved from goldfish eventually had to become a human over time. There's no poof, there's no goldfish fossil and then a human fossil from a goldfish. That's not what we believe.
No, I know, but you still think that, there's a direct linear link between goldfish and humans.
Because that's what evolution tells us with enough time. Oh my God. If goldfish came before humans, then they evolved from goldfish.
So your
I
great
don't
great
think so.
uncle, hold on a second, I've got this. Your great great uncle came before you, yeah?
Yeah.
But he's not your great great grandfather. Well, unless you live in Alabama.
What?
But
He's
he's
a
not your.
human.
No. What I'm saying is there is no direct lineal link between your great 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 uncle and you, because he is the brother of your great 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 grandfather.
Yeah, he's not. He has nothing to do with being my parents or their parents or their parents.
Yeah.
It can branch off. I understand, but they're all still humans. But if my great 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 grandfather came before me, and you're saying I evolved, then I must have evolved from him.
No, I'm
Hey
saying.
guys, sorry to interrupt, but I'm actually this was a really good discussion. I was enjoying it, but I do actually have to go. That was a locksmith. I got to go meet him.
Yeah,
So,
man. Thank you.
Good luck.
really quick,
Thanks, brother.
if I could
Good
just
talk.
ask
Come
you,
back.
would anybody ever say that your great 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 grandfather became you? That's what I'm objecting to in your statement about
No,
one animal becoming another kind.
no, and no one ever thought that. And we're not saying that. We're
I
saying
know, but
we
that is what
evolved.
I'm objecting to. That when SE says
Well,
that one animal became another kind of animal, that's what I'm objecting to. Because to me, it sounds like you're saying your great great grandfather became you, and that's why I don't think it's a
No.
precise enough statement. That's what I have a problem with that statement.
You
It
think our
says
grandfather was an ape?
yeah, funny
no.
enough, our grandfather was a human.
Yeah, well, technically, humans are categorized as apes because all of
And
the
you're,
actual criteria,
yeah,
all of the
and
actual
I've
like
asked,
anatomical features that differentiate an ape from a monkey apply to humans. That's why humans are, in a technical classification sense, based on their anatomy, still classified as apes. But yeah.
Critical. Have a good day. To be continued. Let's leave
All
it
right.
at that.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.
Yep.
Let me get that. His father was an amoeba, and his grandfather was the Big Bang.